Okay, now, welcome. It's another Sunday, and I wanted to initially cover something else, but due to what has been happening this past week, I felt super compelled to bring up this topic, and it was going to be like the last topic out of this like, little series, mini series or something. Um, but with all that's been going on with people that I talk to, and unfortunate occurrences that has happened. Um, from like last week for, a couple months prior and to other people that have went through it and it takes a long time to get through it. I'm going to talk about death and how Stoics normally handle when it happens, Um, how I like to tell people that have been through a loss, it's not so much, it's not to look so much at the life that was lost, but the life that was lived, you know, because you have all these years that this person has been doing this, that, and the third to really live their life. Death is abrupt. Death doesn't prolong. It's not prolonged. It's just and it's gone. The memories and emotions are the only things that are carried with you for years at a time, but it would never even be close to like half of that person's life that they've lived, you know, unless you just haven't done the work to get through it. And I know you're gonna hear like the cliche things, this way and that, where they wouldn't want you to sit with it and be all sad and this and that, but there's truth to that, you know. Um, because if the shoe was on the other foot, I mean, yeah, they'd go through the same kind of. I forgot how many stages there are, like 6 stages. I could be wrong with that, honestly. But the many stages of just dealing with death. For some, it's a short amount of time through the phases. For others, long. For others, prolonged. And we're gonna touch base on that today. And you know, if you just so happen to come across my video at that point in time that you're there, my honest condolences, whoever you are. I've had plenty of deaths there, and it ain't easy, but it gets easier over time. And that's it. Well, over time and the effort put in to just kind of reflect on everything, you know? Now, from Ward Farnsworth, overcoming the fear of death is considered by the Stoics to be one of the most important of all philosophical achievements and the gain of an important liberty. But Stoicism treats death as more than just an external that needs to be laid bare. It is also a source of perspective and inspiration, a valuable aid, not just something to which we overreact. The fact that we will soon be gone can induce some of the changes in mindset as the perspectives considered in the previous in the well throughout. Hold on, let's read that again. The fact that we will soon be gone can do some of the changes in the mindset uh, as as like the perspectives considered. So it's like when you look at everything, you have to look and consider it from many different angles, many different perspectives to help you kind of um, find the through line, streamline it through to where it makes sense to you. Now, meditation on death is thus used by the Stoic to stimulate humility, fearlessness, moderation, and other virtues. Now, with this, everyone has their own ways to get by. Whether you drink or you smoke weed or you just smoke cigarettes or something, or probably something more extreme than that. I gotta tell you, for one, you're more than that. And that's me coming off of, well, to be completely transparent, used to smoke weed like a damn chimney. Thought that it was my getaway, escapism, and that was just one of the many things that I've done for escapism. But it wasn't anything on the extreme side, you know. At first it was just curiosity, then escapism, then to make friends with, and then so on and so forth. But that aside, if you just kind of like sit, now you don't have to do the whole meditation kind of thing where you just close your eyes and, you know, they say to sit down in a comfy spot, close your eyes, breathe in and out, and then just focus on your breathing, then focus on your heartbeat, and then you'll notice that over time it's almost as if everything around you is non-existent except for both your breathing and your heartbeat. You know, where you clear your mind, and even if you were to just kind of navigate through certain parts of your mind to figure things out, that's fine. You don't have to do all that so long as, you know, you do sit and you do like think about things. And try not to overthink. It's very easy to do, but you know, try to keep it um, try to keep the thinking to like a low, to where you're not doing a deep dive of things, to where you're just trying to come up with facts. Well, not even facts. To where you're coming up with things that help you accept the fact of what has been lost or what has been gained within a moment. You know, you'll see that it does work out for you at times, but if you feel like you are going deep within it, pull back, occupy your mind with something, and then you knowing that you can come back to it at a later point and try it again. You know, because overthinking is probably one of the worst things you can do for yourself. As I used to be said overthinker for years and years. Um, so definitely give it a shot to just kind of sit down and, you know, at a comfy spot, just so that you're able to think things through and try to find the silver lining to the bad things, and to try like what would be an opposite of a silver lining, like sun rising over the horizon kind of thing, to for the positives, you know. Now, number one, fear of death. Before setting out to cure a fear or desire, the Stoics typically analyze the ordinary attitude toward it. They are especially dedicated analysts of the fear of death. Now, from Seneca, from his book Epistles, death belongs among those things that are not evils in truth, but still have an appearance of evil. For a love of self is implanted in us, and a desire for existence and survival, and a dread of disintegration. Death seems to rob us of many good things, and to remove us from all we have come to know. And there is another element that estranges us from death. We are already familiar with the present, but are ignorant of the future into which we will go, and we shrink from the unknown. Even if death is something indifferent, then it is nevertheless a thing that cannot be easily ignored. I mean, this is pretty cut and dry and straightforward, but to unpack it just a little bit, when we focus on someone passing, it's just like we're locked in on that point in time. And the biggest thing I had to learn when I had one of the biggest losses of my life was that tomorrow's still gonna come. That was like the biggest punch in the gut I ever fucking had. And no one else told me. It was just kind of like I'm sitting with it, and I'm just like, wow, you know, you know, my old man passed away, and yet I still have to go to work tomorrow. I was like, it's kind of fucked up. But then this is why I say, why I said in the other videos, where the world doesn't owe you anything, doesn't owe you any understanding. It just keeps going, no matter what. And in turn, you have to keep going no matter what. Even though you might carry a whole bunch of shit within you, you know, that you believe or feel as though no one else can really understand, so that keeps you from opening up. Listen, you kind of have to open up just a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's going to inquire about what's weighing you down. It's not the case. There are very few and far in between. But I will say to just kind of be open and accepting of the facts therein with the passing. Like I said, to view and reflect on a life lived, not a life lost. It definitely helps some, you know. And it keeps you from not wanting to face tomorrow without that person. It's another thing that I had to realize, and that was rough. Um, but again, it's all about the perseverance within the self, and to realizing that does at least this person had a life to live. You know, even if it was only and might get a little slack for this, even if it was only for a couple years, like lovely couple has a baby, but there's a lot of health complications, and but still happy, you're still living, but there's like a time clock on it. Yes, it is unfortunate. There's no takeaway from that. But to me, better a life lived than a life taken away before the birthing. And yes, that should answer your question. I am a pro-lifer. Because at least you never know upon birth, like this child, this new human being brought to the world could have a fighting chance for something better than what the doctors are saying. Oh yeah, there's a short life expectancy. At any point, yeah, sure. Little bastard could flip the whole thing on its head, and off you go. You know. Um, Now from Farnsworth. Actually, before I even continue that, just real quick. Um, just know that you're not alone in this, and even though I myself bring uh, certain things from my own experience, it's not really about me. It's just about being relative to another's situation. By yes, I have gone through it too. You are not alone, and it too shall pass. From someone speaking that I've been through it, I'm here to tell you as living proof. Like, it's okay. Nothing's wrong with you, and it's gonna go within time. That's all right. Now, from Ward Farnsworth, but at times the Stoics analyze death simply as an external, a thing that gains its meaning from the ways in which it is costumed by the mind. So, we talked a little bit about externals in different lessons, but it is an external. Death itself happens something outside of you if you're not the one to experience it. If you are, yeah, it is internal, but you'll be gone. Now, um, it's all about how you take it when it comes. No one takes it well. I'm not saying that someone important to you dies and you're like, oh well, that's it. No, on the contrary, you're gonna take it. You might even take it hard, but we're gonna go through a bunch of things in this lesson to help soften the blow over time, and maybe if for some when it happens. But that's not to say to be numb to it. No, we all have emotions. We all have feelings. It's gonna come. From Epictetus. Confidence should therefore be our attitude toward death, and caution should be our attitude toward the fear of it. But now we have the opposite: toward death, avoidance; toward our opinions about it, carelessness, indifference, and neglect. So, absolutely, this all helps with the acceptance of it, so that we're not really running from the fear of it if and when it comes to, yeah, it's over the horizon, but you just don't know how far it is, for you, for anybody around you, you don't really know. Even if there's, doctors saying, oh, you got this amount of time, it could be more, it could be less, it could be less, you don't really know, but to do with that time of what you should is much more important. Um, yeah. So we're going to go to number 2, fearlessness of death. Freedom, this is from Ward Farnsworth. Freedom from the fear of death is regarded by the Stoic as one of the central goals of philosophical work, from which many other liberties and goods follow. One who regards death without fear steps more lightly through life and is free from many other fears as well. For death is the master fear that lies behind them. It's true. Like, I was almost going to unpack it, but clean cut. Seneca from Epistles. He who has learned to die has unlearned slavery. He is above any power and certainly beyond it. What terrors have prisons and bonds and bars for him? Which is true. And, at certain times, I have my own coping with death in a certain way, which, you know, other people have their own, but I make light of it, just where it's just like, oh, well, you know, at least this person doesn't have any more taxes to pay, bills free, you know, like not a worry in the world for everything that he or she had worried about in this plane of existence. So free man, free woman, not a whole lot to worry about once when all is done. Because if anything, when you look at it, it's almost as if we are in a sort of prison that just kind of constricts slowly over time in your lifetime, or, you know, whether you're Gen X, Gen Z, millennials, baby boomers, yeah, you'll find out that in your lifetime, maybe not even beforehand, but in certain aspects per lifetime, it's like you got like a clutch, you know, around your shackles that's just like tightening and tightening, but you always have to fight back to remove the fuckers so you can live a bit more freely. Now, Seneca from Epistles again. Make life as a whole agreeable to yourself, then by banishing all worry about it. No good thing makes its possessor happy unless his mind is prepared for its loss, and nothing is easier to let go of than that which, once gone, cannot be missed. Now, with that, I mean, again, clean cut. No good thing makes his possessor happy unless his mind is prepared for its loss, which is true. It's all about the perspective of death and when it comes and when it happens. You know, of course it's gonna be sad, man. Of course it's gonna be fucking depressing. I'm not saying that it isn't, and neither are these guys. It's just you look past it or ahead of it to try to find the positives of, again, the life that was lived. And also, depending on what you believe in and spirituality, with the life lost, okay, maybe they you know, they could have gone to heaven, purgatory, you know, which is like God's waiting room to get to heaven. They could be reborn as something else in this life, another human, different gender, another human, the same gender, an animal, plant, insect, anything that breathes life. We're not really sure or certain what it could be, but whatever your beliefs are towards what happens in the afterlife. Besides that, no, there's nothing, there's just black. I can't really believe in something like that, just, you know, from my own background. Not because I would be afraid of it being black. If it's black, okay. But how I was raised and what I had, you know, researched on my own time over time, willing to believe otherwise, that not only does it sound more fruitful and beautiful, but to me it just kind of makes sense. But for everyone else, could be something different. Now, number 3, correctives to fear. The Stoic approach to the fear of death is the same as to other externals. Use reason to see the thing clearly and peel away its frightening features. So, from A, subsect of number 3, the unknown experience of death. And this is from Plato, from his book Apology. To fear death, gentlemen, is nothing else than to think one is wise when one is not. For it is thinking one knows what one does not know. For no one knows whether death be not even the greatest of all blessings to man, but they fear it as if they knew that it is the greatest of evils. And he's right. It's a matter of perspective. You know, where you just kind of like think about things through both sides, through different layers, if you will. Where it's like, well, yeah, dying sucks, death sucks, but what happens after that? No one really knows. It's all led to a subjective belief until we get there. And with that, I mean, yeah, sure, you see certain people that you can find it on YouTube that, you know, they go ahead and they pass on and they come back and they have this like vivid imagery of, you know, of what they believed in all their life, is that of which they met Jesus Christ to some, God to others, some sort of you know, any sort of deity from Indian, what is it? Greek mythology, even um, Celtic, even with me Spanish, maybe Orishas will come in, like so on and so forth. It, it all comes to like what you truly believe in your time. And that's where you would see all these people that they have these stories like, oh, I saw this and I saw that. They said it's not my time, and then I came back, and they automatically have a new lease on life. Or they just kind of figure, oh, well, I'm fine with where I was at, so I'll keep going. But now I have no fear of what lies ahead because I was there and I came back. B, the painlessness of death. And dying might be painful so far as we know. Death itself is not. Seneca from Epistles. Death is coming to you. It would be a thing to dread if it could stay, but necessarily it either doesn't come or it comes and it is gone, which is true. You know, to that of which people dying, like if you're bleeding out or something, yeah, that's painful. But ultimately, towards the end, it will be the same result where death comes, taken out, nothing else is felt. And from there, who knows? There's a bunch of different stuff going around. From Epicurus, different philosopher of the time, from his book, Letter to Menesius. Death, the most horrible of evils, is therefore nothing to us, since so long as we exist, death is not present, and when death is present, we do not exist. Which is true. It's very, very. I do like this. Very interesting because as especially nowadays, people just going through their lives. They have so many different worries of everything in this plane of existence than it is on the plane of non-existence. So it's like we're worrying about when the money's coming in, what the money's going out for, how do I get my how do I get this person on a date. How do I land this interview, get this certificate, graduate from this place? Like all this so that we're so preoccupied with everything in this living plane that we're not even worried about death. Until something comes and in regards to death, then we think about it for a little bit and then we're back to what we were doing. And it's not to disrespect the dead as it is or to even forget about them. Always keep those who have passed on near and dear to your heart, to your mind, just because it was somebody in your lifetime. You know what I mean? And of course, you would want that same respect when you go, sure, but with that, it's almost as if you're giving the life they have lived just as much power within your heart and mind as they were to themselves when they were living. So if you still have them and you remember them, this and that, and then you pass on, who knows, you might even encounter them in the afterlife if they're there. It's like, oh, yo, what's going on, this and that, and you shoot the shit, and all's well with that. Now, C, death as transformation. Stoics view the arrival of death as a transition not so different from others we know. From Marcus Aurelius, from his book Meditations, do not despise death, but be content with it, since this too is one of those things nature wills. For what it is to be young and grow old, and to increase and reach maturity, and to have teeth and beard and gray hair, and to father children, and to be pregnant, and to give birth, and all the other natural operations the seasons of your life bring, so also is disillusion. This then is the way of one who is reflective, to be neither careless nor impatient nor arrogant with respect to death, but to wait for it as one of the operations of nature. So, simply put, it's as you live your life, this is what's coming, and it could be throughout half your life, half your accomplishments, and it comes. We don't necessarily know when our time is up. We don't, which is very good because I feel like if we did, everyone would just be in a rush to do the most, and I just believe as though there would be some sort of like disorder to that, But But yeah, just be content with death as you are content with life. I know it might sound hard, oh, easier said than done. It might sound harder than it is, but I'm telling you, the within many deaths that you will come across in your lifetime, and you will, just as we all will or have, it helps soften the blow from other deaths, and it also in turn helps achieve that perspective or that angle to be considered to if and when it does happen, you know, because it's just one of the many things that come with nature. Within life, so comes death in the end. Marcus Aurelius from Meditations. That which has died does not fall out of the universe. If it stays here, it also changes here, and is dissolved into its proper parts, which are elements of the universe and of yourself. And these change too, and they do not complain. Which, yeah, that's pretty true. So to what he's saying with this, which he also involves the universe with that, which is pretty interesting for the time. No, everything is well encased within our universe. Everything is well encased within our world, which explains to certain points. If someone that you knew died in the house that you lived in, that you knew or that you didn't know and you heard about, and certain weird things happen, it's not really to scare you, honestly. It's scary because there's a fear of ghosts and this and that, but try to look at it this way. Okay, so perfect example. Where I live at. Oddly enough, by a graveyard. Now, there has been certain things that have happened years ago, but it's just kind of like I've made peace with those who have lived here and those who have died here, and it's fine. I haven't really gone through certain kind of like poltergeist mishaps, if you will. But it's just to understand that, when someone passes in their home, that energy, that soul that that of which was their own, is stuck there. And not just because they lived there. No, it's because it's the one place that they felt most familiar with in this plane of existence. And that could be prevalent anywhere else. Let's say I lived in the place I was at before all my life. Passed away in a car accident, like out of state or something like that. Because my energy, my soul essence itself is so attached to that house, you're gonna find myself there. Especially with how they say with the dead that the ones that die that do not want to pass on, they cling on to one, and for which of that they are stuck here in a certain kind of limbo. Because I don't want to go yet. It's not my time. This and that, and they want to stay so bad instead of move on to the next phase. Well, again, also whatever you believe in, of course. But with that, yeah, they get stuck here on this plane forever. Roaming the house that they're in or the property that it's on or whatever, and they get stuck there. Doing the same kind of stuff that they felt most comfortable doing, as if it's routine. So imagine, the ones that have passed in this place where I'm at now, and I moved in, and they're able to notice me in a sense, and I them, because I have a certain like awareness, certain spiritual awareness. It's not me really like trotting on their own land, like, hey, listen, you've had your time here, that's fine, but like, I'm here now. You could be here in a different plane of existence, and that's fine. I'm not gonna fuck with you. Don't fuck with me, and we'll have a nice time. And that's literally what it is. It's no disrespect to the dead or to who was here before. No, just life goes on, and because of these people that the past, or the ones that have passed, that they cling so dearly onto what they have known within their lifetime. They just want to stick around, okay. but it's, to me, doing more harm than good, you know. Epictetus from Discourses. So I won't exist anymore? No, you won't, but something else will, which the universe now needs. For you also came into existence not when you chose, but when the world had need of you. And that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. So, soul essence, that of which comes from the universe, will always exist. And which is why, if you believe in rebirthing, it just means that, I think in, yeah, I might be, yeah, I'm drawing a blank here, but in some spirituality or religion, that you live 12 or 13 different lives in this plane of existence, and it can be spread across throughout many different life forms, and which would explain, let's say you're born and you have a certain like mark or birthmark on your body. It's supposed to tell you like it's supposed to show you how you died. So it's like whatever fatal wound that took you out, as you're born again into a new body, it's what's carried behind. It's very interesting to think about. But that aside, we're going to move on to D, comparisons to the time before birth. A classic Stoic response to death is to contemplate its similarity to our position before birth, which we have no reason to think was difficult. And we have from Montaigne, how ridiculous to worry about passing into freedom from all worry. Just as our birth brought us the birth of all things, so will our death be the death of them all. And so, to be sorry we will not be alive 100 years from now is as foolish as to be sorry we were not alive 100 years ago, which is great. And I want to reiterate Montaigne from his book, That to Study Philosophy is to Learn to Die, from 1580, which it's really great. What do we really have to worry about when it comes? Like, I'm not going to live to this age, and I want to live a healthy life. And okay, you can live a healthy life. You can lead a healthy life. That's fine. But that's not going to like earn you more years to your life cycle. You know what I'm saying? It's just one facet that you're worried about. Which, I mean, don't get me wrong. Live as healthy as you can be, honestly, because you just feel better throughout the days. But when it comes down to, again, that expectancy, because we don't really know when our time is, and to me, I don't really think that it matters if we do know when our time comes. It's like, no, man, focus on your life that you're living now, not when it's going to be up. That only works against you. So from E, we have comparisons to unreasoning creatures. A recurring line of Stoic argument points to creatures with weak understanding, children or the foolish or animals who avoid the fear of death and other fears that encumber the philosophical type. So, so with that, it's just kind of like, children don't think about that. Then even though they retain their innocence, so they're not gonna. They don't really know the harsh truths of the world just yet. To which, yeah, some parents shield them. You can only do it for so long. Because if you're not going to show them, the world will, and it'll be a lot harsher, because at some point they're going to look at you and say, well, why didn't you tell me? And, there might be a little bit of misunderstanding or resentment from that. But it's, to me, and look, I don't have kids, but I just speak from a third-party perspective to what makes sense in that regard, because I know I wouldn't want that for my children. And it's not to say that if you don't, that you are a bad parent or something. No, it's just to raise the awareness. That's all that it is. So, yeah, between children and animals, no, man, they're just focused in the present, the now, what's going on. Yeah, they might come into close encounters with that, but it just kind of it's thrown in the rear view, Marcus Aurelius from Meditations. The same ills befall another, and either because he does not see that they have happened or because he would make a display of pride, he is firm and remains unharmed. It is a shame, then, that ignorance and the desire to impress should be stronger than wisdom. Which, yeah, it's true. Listen, ignorance, arrogance, the desire to impress, and everything else that falls under that umbrella. It's, look, man, you don't think that you can, go out to the world thinking that the world ain't gonna, hand your ass to you at certain points, because it will. And it's going to be a humbling thing once you figure out, or once you get past the, oh, why me, and I'm a victim of this, and blah, blah. No, it's, look, man, everyone takes their licks. You just don't know when it comes. And, yeah, that's fine. But, yeah, you want to go ahead and, make good use of your pride. It's okay to have pride, just when it's not bleeding into arrogance. Or into ignorance, because you want to have that confidence, but don't think that you can go, throughout life without thinking that anything bad can happen to you. It comes for us all, man. But even with that, don't think that everything bad happens to you, even if it comes in, well, I would say spades, maybe like a small consecutive amount. I just look at it as, life's many challenges. Sometimes they stack, and it's just to see what you're able to do with it, just so that you're not able to fall short of your own potential, truly. So, from Montaigne, from his book, that the taste of good and evil things depend in large part on the opinion we have of them. 1580. I guess they just have really just long titles for their books. That's fine. What good is knowledge if it causes us to lose the peace of mind and the calm we would enjoy without it, and leave us in a condition worse than that of Pyrrho's hog? Now, Pyrrho was a philosopher, a Greek philosopher, back in, 4th century BC. And to those near him who were most frightened, he pointed to a hog that was there and that was not in the least concerned, and sought to encourage them by its example. It's just, this hog's just chilling, and it was like, during like a great storm that they were sailing, and everyone's like, oh my God, we're gonna die. It's like everyone's freaking out except for this hog right here. This hog's just chilling. He's just kind of like, yep, just like chilling. He's got his food. He's got a place to shit. Nothing else to really worry about, because it's kind of like, well, if it comes, it comes. That's fine. And it's just this release of that fear, man. Where it's not to not care. You can have a care, but that of which to let the fear occupy your mind space heavily. That's where they're trying to target. Like, take a look at this hog. He don't give a shit. He's eating, shitting until he doesn't, and really there's not much of a mind there, which separates us from animals because of how we think. I understand that, but it's good sometimes to just kind of get in touch with the base roots. Not all the time, and not 100%, but enough to where we're not overthinking things. F. Relief. The value of mortality. Marcus Aurelius' views of humanity gave him a reason not to fear death. The human race, seen accurately, is not the sort of company one should be too sorry to leave behind. Which is true. From Marcus Aurelius, from his book Meditations. In this quote, but nevertheless remember that you will be departing from others who do not have the same opinions you do. That is the one consideration, if any, that would pull the other way and attach us to life. If we could live with those who share our opinions. But when you see how much trouble arises from the discord of all of them living together, it is enough to make you say, come quickly, O death, lest somehow I too forget myself. So, I mean, hey man, you're going to come across certain people, good or bad, honest, liars, shitheads, stand-up people. If it's any consideration, if and when you're gone, it's like, yeah, well, ain't gonna deal with this anymore. But not to say, like, don't rush it. You know what I'm saying? It's just like when it comes, again, there's, there's a lot more freedom beyond the grave than we're willing to realize and accept for what is. Because we have so many things that tie us to this plane of existence, to living, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But never look at death as a takeaway from all things, but rather a giving of something else entirely that we don't even know about. We can only just speculate. But with these, with these lessons and quotes in mind, it kind of shifts that belief towards, freedom. Like full freedom. We don't have to worry about, politics going haywire. We don't have to worry about, people with guns. We don't have to worry, or sorry, crazy people with guns. Let's be specific here. We don't have to worry about, racial violence. Any kind of violence. Just there's a lot of negative things that come from the world and its inhabitants, or mainly its inhabitants. That once when we're out, we're out. Now, from Seneca, from Epistles, deny now if you can that nature is very generous in making death inevitable. Because there was a piece of work that I know. I'm sure that there are others out there, but it was like a video game that I played where this guy, the story was great. This guy was immortal, right? Lived for 1,000+ years, saw so many people live and die, and it's like it really touched base on what other people would say, like, "Oh man, I wish I could live forever. I'd be okay with it." And it like the story shows you how in reality you wouldn't. Just because you're immortal doesn't mean that you're not human. And that's like the fine line between was it being a god and being a demigod, at least within the story. So yeah, he couldn't die, but he didn't have like crazy superpowers. No, his only thing was like, I can't die. I have lived to see many people go through certain things, certain deaths, this and that. I've been put to death a certain amount of times, nothing happened. And in which case, it was very sad, very depressing, but otherwise like really cool to, go through the story and just understand the life that this person lived until however many years after, which is where the game picks up. But it was very interesting to see it throughout that person's life. I was like, imagine how many times that you have to like love someone and then see them go. Like that's painful. Even if you were to have kids with them, and that's not the immortality is not transferable. They got to go too. Yeah, that's sad. Like you give birth, your kid's 68, and you're stuck at like 20 something. Yeah, a little sad. or your wife to be gets older, you're still here, still sad. But no, it was interesting. But more going back to the point there. The inevitable death is that nature provides to us is a gift within itself, man. I know it might seem hard to believe, but give it some thought, give it some time to really think about that. Just because we can't all live forever. We can't. I mean, and that's to say that we've exceeded the life expectancy past like 25 and then 50 and then the 70s. Now people are being able to live to 90s and 100s. So, number 4, the progressive character of death. The Stoic seeks to befriend death by removing illusions about it. One is that death is an eventuality in the distance. The Stoics attack that impression in several ways. First, they view death as a continuous process rather than an event. We are all dying. Each day that passes is an increment of our mortality, which is true. Every day we're closer to death. That's not to say to worry about it. It's just it's a slow burn, And whatever you do throughout those days, that can that can shorten the time frame. You might want to cut that back unless you want to live life in the fast lane. I don't recommend it, but yeah. From Montaigne, from his book That to Study Philosophy is to Learn to Die. Why fear your last day? It does no more to advance you toward death than any other day did. The last step does not cause your fatigue. It reveals your fatigue. Every day is a step toward death. The last one arrives there. Which I don't have to unpack that. That's That's pretty clear. Let's see. 5. The availability of death. The Stoic regards death as an option rather than a terror. Thank you, Ward Farnsworth. And, it's true. When you really think about it, it's never to be something to be afraid about fully, you know. And especially like if you're freaking out that you might feel as though it's coming and then it doesn't. It's like the same thing that we talked about when we were talking about fear. Once when it comes and goes, you just kind of laugh like, oh, what was that about? And you just feel a little silly because of it. But you gain much more confidence, sure. But fear is just a joke, man. I truly believe that it's just there to keep us from our true potential and from what we were able to give to ourselves. Now, that's not to say that that's not to say that it won't be come across. No, you're going to come across it. You just need to know what to do with it so that you can push through and get to the other side of what you truly deserve. Seneca from Epistles. The best thing eternal law ever ordained was one entrance into life but many exits. Must I await the cruelty either of disease or of man, when I can depart in the midst of torture and shake off my troubles? This is the one reason why we cannot complain of life. It keeps none of us against our will. Humanity is well situated, in that none are happy except by their own fault. Live if it suits you. If not, you can go back where you came from. You can go back where you came from. But yeah, 100%. Where he's saying, must I await the cruelty either of disease or of man, when I can depart in the midst of torture and shake off my troubles? Again, all this that comes my way where I feel like it's going to take me out. Okay, well, if it does, it does. And okay. Just so long as, and I feel like this is something that they didn't put in there. Do your best to live a life without regrets. Because a lot... There are people out there when they get close to death and they feel like they haven't accomplished anything, or rather they were just too caught up in thinking about their regrets, all the times that they fucked up, instead of just kind of like picking yourself up and carrying on. That doesn't help. It really doesn't. Which as I covered in earlier lessons, it helps to come to terms with the fact that you are at fault for everything good and bad in your life, and to apply accountability. So apply and accept accountability and humility for those good and bad things that are at your fault. So, and it all leads to a life lived ultimately. Montaigne from An Apology for Raymond Sebond, 1580. Only fools are attached to their bodies by a fear of death rather than a love of life. Which, if that's the case, a lot of them are out there. A lot of them. Now, I'm not sure what the percentage is, what the ratio is, or anything like that, but there are a lot that, they get so attached, that they're willing to do anything to escape death. Even become fucking lowlives and losers to escape death. And I put that on, certain peoples of power that they know that, they know they fucked up, and yet they have a fall guy for it that takes the blame. Or, they put on someone else and, gets the heat off of them and all sorts of shit like that. I know it happens out there. And with that, you're not living righteously and you are not living with honor. And for that, to me, you're a fucking loser. Absolutely. If you're not willing to, take your licks, be accountable for the shit that, that comes your way, even if it leads to death. Hey, man, if you didn't think about it then, you can think about it now and accept what comes. Because the more and more you just try to weasel your way out of certain things that could involve, damage to your body or even death, and you're just on the run, it's not making it any better for you, because it's only prolonging. You're only going to prolong the inevitable, but now your mind is like weighing heavy on so much shit that is just like, man. And you get to see it in like action movies all the time. Like the the guy that's supposed to be taken out. Oh no, he pushes the other guy out there. Oh, I get to live for another day, when you know what's gonna happen at the end of the film. It's just goofy shit. 6. Duration versus quality. The impression that death lies in the distance can create a desire to keep it there, or as far away as possible, to treat the length of a life as the most important thing about it. Virtue and honor are goods not measured in time. The person who has them has lived long enough. Thank you, Ward Farnsworth. Which, again, everything that they say is true. You know? Yeah, the impression that death lies in the distance can create a desire to keep it there. You know, it's just, look, it's either as far away as you think it is, or it's as close as you think it is, which is not doing yourself any favors, because it's only going to increase the fear over time. And this is perfect too. Virtue and honor are goods not measured in time. The person who has them has lived long enough. Which, you know, keep living righteously with virtue and honor. You get to see what beautiful things come your way. And even if you know death is there, it should not hold such a high and heavy prevalence over your life and what you do with it. From Seneca from Epistles, what matters is not how long you live, but how well. And often living well means that you cannot live long. Dude, fire. Straight fire, this guy. It's crazy. What matters is not how long you live, but how well. And often living well means that you cannot live long. So, perfect example, man. Celebrities. They live well, but they don't live long due to certain things that, look, man, I'll cover vaguely. They're not in the brightest of lights. Hollywood's is Holly weird, and they do some very, like, shady shit, for sure. But it all ends up to, like, you know, this being self-deletion, that being self-deletion, because I can't say the chop suey word. Oh, I can say chop suey. Thank you, System of a Down. But yeah, and no one really wonders why, or even if they look into why they don't like it. It's like, well, I mean, it's there. It's not there for you to like it, but you know, it kind of opens your eyes to what's really going on. So yeah, for the people that are living really well, like there's a timer on that. But for the people that are living well enough for themselves, you know that you could be rich within your values that have nothing to do with money, since it is just an amplifier. You can have values of, you know, morals, virtue, honor, righteousness, and all that good shit, and not even have a fucking penny to your name. It's possible. Seneca from Epistles. You ask what the finest lifespan would be. To live until you reach wisdom. The one who gets there has arrived, not at the farthest goal, but at the most important. That man, indeed, may boldly congratulate himself and give thanks to the gods, and to himself along with them, and count in his reckoning with the universe the fact that he has lived. His account will be in credit. He has given it back a better life than he received. So, just as I was saying, and I should have added wisdom in that, but it's all under like this big umbrella that, you know, these terms shake hands very well with the other. And they work well with each other as well. So everything that you do to attain wisdom, man, you're living a lot better than the ones who either don't or won't. The ones that don't have a fighting chance, but the ones that won't want that kind of wisdom, yeesh, sucks. But hey, for the most part, it ain't your problem. Even though you may want to help, and there's that age-old adage where you can bring the horse to water, but you cannot make the bastard drink. And I know it's not, you know, bastard, but whatever, like, you get it. They're gonna have to want it for themselves. Now, from Plutarch, from Letter to Apollonius, not the longest life is the best, but the best lived. For it is not the one who has played the lyre the most, or is it Lear? Lyre. I want to, yeah. Played the lyre the most, or made the most speeches, or piloted the most ships, who is commended, but the one who has done these things well. And and it's true. Because yeah, you could be a jack of all trades, a master of none, or a master of one, jack of some. It all depends on where your accolades are in life and how much time you're putting into them to, if not master them, then to be really, really good at them. To where it's not even good, it's great. Or it could be the better, or it could be the best. Um, yeah. There was something that when I used to take Taekwondo, my old sensei, Mr. Mendez, used to say, good, better, best, don't let it rest, till your good is your better, and your better is your best. I was like, my mind was blown. And to this day, because I was just a kid. I'm 29 now, so it's so definitely affected me, in like the best way. Number 7, the manner of death. Fearlessness of death is regarded by the Stoics as a great achievement. And the way one confronts death when it arrives is considered a test of that achievement and of character, perhaps the true test. Which, true enough, even if you see it in movies, where, people are just like, yeah, it's fine, do it. If I can get my way out of it, I will, but if not, hey, do it. Seneca from Epistles. It is with life as with a play. What matters is not how long it is, but how good. It makes no difference at what point you stop. Leave off where you choose. Just be sure to give it a good ending. And that's it. If you know your time's up and you think back on everything good that has happened up to that point, it's like, all right, nah, we're cool. Again, it's better to focus on the life that was lived than the life that was lost. The life that was lived has lived many years compared to the life that was lost, which with a couple seconds to a couple minutes, and then that's it. 8. Death as a universal and equalizer. The Stoic finds consolation for death in the reflection that it is a fate common to everyone. This is from Seneca, from Consolation to Polybius. We therefore will find the greatest comfort in the thought that what has befallen us was suffered by all who came before, and will be suffered by all to come. And nature has, it seems to me, made universal that which she made hardest to bear, so that the equality of our fate might console us for its cruelty. I like how, makes the universe, sorry, what does it mean? It's nature she, or rather the universe. Yeah, it's very nice. Where because this is all coming from thousands of years ago, man. From just people just trying to pinpoint human behavior, and to where we're at now, 2023. We've been doing the same shit. We've just been exposed to different things now. And those different things are keeping us further from our true potential, from our true goal. But it's true, though. We therefore will find the greatest comfort in the thought that what has befallen us was suffered by all who came before. Same thing. Generation to generation, people lived and people had died. And whether there were speculations about it, research, complaints, acceptances, and all that, it has all been the same 100 years ago. 200, 300, 400, 500, 1,000. It's all been the same. Farnsworth, this is from Farnsworth. Death equalizes all people, which might encourage magnanimity in life. Which is true, man. It's, again, you come in, you live, you go out, and that's the death. But it's, to keep things fair and equal for the next generation to live in succession and so on and so forth. Even if you were to come back, reborn as a part of a different generation, who knows? From Seneca from Epistles, we are born unequal, we die equal. I say the same thing about cities as about their inhabitants. Ardea Ardea was captured, so was Rome. The founder of human law has not distinguished us based on lineage or illustrious ancestry, except while we are alive. Which, is true. When you look back at it, see what your ancestors have done, whether it was more, whether it was less, they lived and died the same, practically. 9. The proximity of death. Once the fear of it is subdued, death is regarded by the Stoics as a resource, a remedy for pride and a teacher of wisdom. Stoics observe that the possibility of death is nearer than we usually imagine, a point offered not to cause anxiety, but to dispel it. Rather than a frightening thing that advances on us, death is next to us all the time, and is best accepted as a reason to live well in the time that remains. Thank you, Mr. Farnsworth. And yeah, I don't even have to unpack that. That's a clean one, clear one, and clean. It's true, man. It all comes back to what we had talked about before: fear. Fear is such a huge thing for everything that it just keeps us back from living to our true potential. I'll say it. I will listen. I don't care if it gets old or if it gets played out. If you have watched everything I put out thus far, you're gonna be saying the same shit too. To where it's gonna be believable for you, not because I truly desire it to be for that of you, but it's just what makes sense. It's something to adopt over time, because think about everything that you're afraid of. The really good looking person that you're afraid to approach. Strip away the fear. What's left? What about them that fears you? Okay, take that away. What's left? Are you your best to unpack and to strip away the fears and anxieties of it? Is it that bad now? It's just another thing. It's just another external. That should not occupy your worries and woes so largely. Montaigne. That to study philosophy is to learn to die. In truth, dangers and risks do little or nothing to bring us closer to death. If we think of the millions of threats that hang over us, apart from whichever one now seems to threaten us most, we will realize that death is equally nearby, whether we are healthy or feverish, at sea or at home, in battle or at rest. Again, yeah. It's just a further unpacking. It could be anywhere, could be everywhere. We don't know, and quite naturally within us is that, the gut feeling where it's I don't feel like going there. Hey man, listen to that gut feeling. I won't judge you for it, and you shouldn't be judged for it at all. For people that are afraid of planes, that they have that gut feeling, or rather, not even afraid of planes, they just have that gut feeling like, I just don't know about this plane ride, and you just kind of, I'll drive or something, or you find like another way to get to your destination. Okay, that's fine. Trust in your good instinct. It has gotten us this far. Before we started applying common sense to things, and even now it's not so common. So maybe it's just rare sense. Who knows? Seneca from Natural Questions. I say that there is no lasting peace for anything that can perish and cause to perish, but I place this fact in the category of solace. Actually, a very powerful solace, since fear without remedy is what foolish men have. If you wish to fear nothing, consider that everything is to be feared. Yeah, that's good. But again, it's all on the mindset and the perspective of these fears, where if you're not careful, it could really damage you, And yeah, if you wish to fear nothing, consider that everything is to be feared. But it's all about looking at the fears of certain things, like I was just saying before. If you're able to strip away a lot of the contents that strip away a lot of the fear, like over time, then what's left to fear? Yeah, because wouldn't you much rather live within the solace that you so desire? It's better than it's better to live in that solace than in that fear. 100%. Now 10, intimacy with death. The nearness of death as a physical matter is matched by the Stoics' efforts to keep it nearby in the mind. Stoics recommend thinking about death often, as they find that it helps toward virtue without a need for argument. Which, man, it's true. What else is there to what else is there to dispute? You know, once when you're able to kind of think of death as harmless in a sense. Not the act of inflicting it upon someone, but just as it comes in any sort of way. To where it's just like, you don't know when it comes, you don't know where it comes, but when you think about it over time, and it honestly just helps with the acceptance of it. Yeah, I know it's weird to listen to and understand at a certain wherever you are. If you are going through someone close to you, like their death, or sometimes you think about it yourself, just not to where you can chop suey, but to where you just kind of think, well, how long do I have? Nah, man, don't do yourself that disservice of just trying to find the time lapse on it, where it's like, oh yeah, this day, this year. Nah, do your best to strip it all of what you fear and then see what's left. Now, from Johnson, from his book The Rambler, number 17, 1750, the disturbers of our happiness in this world are our desires, our griefs, and our fears, and to all these the frequent consideration of death is a certain and adequate remedy. Again, once when you're out, what more do you have to worry about? Nothing. It is, to me, the truest form of relief. And again, I'm not advocating, well, just go out there and get it done. No, it comes when it comes. We all have stuff to do here, purpose or none, but more so purpose to be fulfilled. And when it comes, it comes. That's fine. And for 11, mortality as inspiration. Reflection on death, as we have seen, is viewed by the Stoic as a way to reduce the fear of it, but also as a cause for urgency in living and a source of inspiration. And this is from Marcus Aurelius, from Meditations. The perfection of moral character consists in this: to spend each day as if it were the last, to be neither agitated nor numb, and not to pretend. And from Seneca, from Epistles, we must make it our aim to have already lived long enough. And so with this, man, yeah, live the best life that you can, knowing in the back of your mind that death is out there, but live the best life you can with the most that you can get. Even if it's not a lot, you can make it enough. You don't have to be on any sort of megalomaniac tirade where you just I want this, get it. Oh, it's not enough. Okay, I want more of this. Okay, you got it. Okay, I want more because this isn't enough, and you just keep going. Well, that's not gonna make you happy, because you're just gonna keep worrying about the stuff that you don't have when you already have so much, without even thinking about the others that don't have anywhere close to what you have. But yeah, and for the ones that are dealing with the losses that has happened, whether recently, a couple years ago, look, I'm gonna tell it to you like this: it's okay. It's absolutely okay. You're not alone. You may feel isolated, but you're not alone. If you feel or believe that you do have someone to talk to, or that you can have someone to talk to, I recommend doing so if it helps. Because not very likely will people just kind of walk up and and you're open to them like that. With me, hey man, can't explain it, but I accept it for what it is, because I do like helping people with what I have already gone through. And it's not to put it on the same playing field that they're on, or, well, actually, no. It's not for me to compare misery and grievances and stuff like that. I try to level the playing field to let you know that no, someone out there does understand what it is that you're going through, and whether or not it's more or less than, it's still the same kind of thing. It's only more or less than when you apply more thought to it and more emotions to it. Where it's like, oh, no one could ever possibly understand. It's like, no, like we do, just in our own way, set aside from your own understanding. But that's no takeaway from you and what you're going through. No, I'm just here to show you, like, you're not alone. We all go through it. It's fine. It's okay. You know, and like I said, it doesn't get easy, but it gets easy over time when you're able to um, look at the life lived rather than the life that was lost. It will be rough. Of course it will be. When when you're sitting down and you're realizing certain things and you can't help but tear up because the memories surface. But it's better to have it all surface than to be 6 feet 6 feet under, which I know it's kind of playing close to how bodies are buried. But look, don't bottle it up. Is what I'm getting at. You have to have your outlet to let it out somehow. If you're gonna cry about it, that's perfectly okay. Go do it, man. Do it. Have your release. Just know that over time it too will pass. But you also have to put in the effort. You can't just let time take care of it. You have to put in the effort to bring about the acceptance of what has happened. You know, whether or not it was a chop suey thing, whether or not it was a homicidal thing, whether or not it was just by natural occurrences. Um, you really have to do your part to just kind of help figure things out and strip away that of which really bothers you, that of which you really fear. It definitely helps when you do have someone else to talk to, for sure. But just make sure that it's kind of a conversation like what I'm having with you right now. Whether I know you or not, it's gonna be okay. It is. You can keep that person close to your heart, keep the memories just as close, and keep living. Keep living for you, knowing that the ones that have passed is what they would truly want for you, because they'll be okay. That was like there were a lot of lessons I had to learn from when my old man passed. It was a lot. And for me, like my time, for example, it took me, geez, man, like 4 to 5 years for me to like be ultimately okay with it. But that was just because I was coming into my own, and I felt as though I didn't have anyone to really talk to about it. That had my vagaries, sure, but it wasn't anywhere close to what I had desired for a conversation. And I even went towards the route of spiritual medium. That was something that one of my exes have done for me, that she wanted me to go ahead and do it, to speak to my pops from beyond the grave with someone I barely even knew. Yeah, if there's any skepticism in your mind about that, I gotta tell you, man, that shit fucking works. It's scary at first, but when you start to accept what is, your mind opens up to all sorts of things, like, oh, maybe certain energies and magics are real in this plane of existence, and if you want to pursue that research, that's fine. If you feel like it's uncomfortably bigger than you are, hey, it's just the way she goes, man. It really is, because that's just one thing out of many other things in life that are bigger than normal human lives, that has always been here before us and will most likely be here after us. But that was something that definitely helped me out over time, was the spiritual medium experience, and it helped me out a lot. And in which case, never forget your loved ones, man. Even if you got pictures or whatever, always keep it close to the heart. Always keep it close to the mind. And and if any of you want to go ahead and reach out, you can email me at southcoaststoic@gmail.com. Leave a like, leave a subscribe, so that way they can further push us out to the airwaves. No, I don't want money for all the lessons that I'm putting out here. I don't want to be monetized like that. I just want this invaluable information to be put out to people to build better people. Mainly to build better men for other men and for women, not in spite of them. That's what I want to do, and that's what I'm going to continue doing. I'm going to figure this out to push it further. But yeah, it's I'm not trying to treat this like a WWE thing. I genuinely really want to help people along, and if that is so much as my legacy, so be it. But that will be this lesson on death, and my condolences for those who are watching this that have recently been through a death, and whether family, friend, pet, which also fits in both. My condolences sincerely. I know what a loss is like, small and large, and there's many more to come, sure, but that's just lives that have been lived or lost, and it's on us to find ways to be okay with it and to move forward, because that's what ultimately they would want for us. And ultimately, when someone asks you about it, you would want that for them. But as always, much love and many blessings. Have a good week this week.